Well, welcome to this evening's talk and discussion on hypnosis and hypnotherapy. So, we're going to consider 4 areas. Firstly, just an introduction to what is hypnosis and hypnotherapy. How does it work? Because we know that it does. Some of the common misconceptions or queries that people have about it, which we'll look at later. And finally, some of the applications like medical, if you want to use the word healing to some sense of the word. So there's a lot, it's a very big field. As I do all these preparations, I think I learn more from the people that are listening. But that's all right because I've got more to share. Apparently, hypnosis is a perfectly natural state of mind. And that applies not only to the state, but also the methods that are used to get you into that state. Hypnosis is generally taken to mean being induced into a trance state, or they just call it induction. And it simply means having a focused, I think that's the right spelling, 1S, focused attention. Because, I mean, like when you're watching a movie that you really like, you are really focused. And if someone nudges you and says, "Oh, can you pass me the chips?" and you're still watching the movie, you don't hear them, you sort of ignore them. No, I'm watching whatever your favourite actor or actress is. So it's a focused attention. One example was being absorbed in a film, maybe the younger generation screaming and ranting over some pop star that's come out that they have to see. Books, music, artworks that you feel like you've gone into the painting and you've gone into another world. And we often do a lot of daydreaming, when you're bored at work or at college and you look out the window and you think, oh, wouldn't it be nice to be having a cappuccino in Paris with a celebrity rather than doing accounting here in Sydney, So you get transported. Now, the type of things that happen when you're in this state, they'll have a sense of well-being or wellness. What else? Certain things increase. There's an increase in relaxation, especially the muscles. Your pain level or pain threshold increases, so it'll take more pressure or heat or someone cutting you before you'll feel the pain because the threshold's gone higher, so you can tolerate pain better. And in your brain there's something called alpha waves. I think there's three main types of wave patterns, or maybe 4 according to your state of awareness. I think alpha waves are the one that make you the most relaxed. Sorry, I have to keep referring to, I'm not very good at memorising things. Maybe I need hypnosis. Another thing is people tend to not use words as much when they're in trance. People have trouble expressing through a word. It's more through feeling, imagination. So the speech might be reduced, the power of speech. To put things into words, that can sort of get pushed down under. Recall. You have access to recall memories, both the painful ones and the really lovely Walt Disney type feelings of the past. Also, our understanding becomes more literal. Just like children, if you tell a child, 2 or 3 year old, it's raining cats and dogs out there, they'll go to the window to have a look. So I don't see any cats or dogs. All I see is rain. You know? So people take things more literally. And probably another important thing is you become more susceptible to accepting new beliefs about yourself or ideas about the world. So the way I've got everything scattered, I need to be a bit more organised. What increases is susceptibility. So things can be suggested to you in that state, and you will soak them in without having this critical, logical, conscious mind say, no, that's rubbish, oh no, that doesn't make sense. When you do become more susceptible to these ideas or beliefs, they always have to be charged with like strong emotional content. If there's no emotional feeling about the idea, it won't really have much of an impact, which is what they use in advertising. They show food, and when you see the food, you think of the flavour, the smell, the warmth, having your stomach full, maybe queuing up to flirt with the person behind the counter as a social contact for the day. You think of all these associations. If you didn't have a positive feeling about that, it won't have an effect. And also the susceptibility relates to your values. You will always follow what is your moral code. So in the trance state, we'll say that's a target. You will be focused on something specific. It could be a candle, it could be someone's voice, it could be bodily sensation, lighting conditions, all sorts of things, a pendulum. You focus your attention on a particular source and everything else seems to just go into the background. Maybe you've seen some of those strange drawings that you can find on the internet where you look at, or actually those 3D drawings, you look at a flat page and you're supposed to relax your focus. And what seems to be flat, then all of a sudden these images seem to pop out and you think, well, it's like a window's open into another world, and you see maybe a tree or a creature, and then when you think too hard or keep blinking too much, you lose the effect and it all just flattens down to just squiggles. But that's obviously to do with the power of your mind and imagination. But if you are in that state and something needs to be attended to, there is a part of you that's always aware. So someone discovered this some time ago, that you don't completely disappear and go off into, gaga land. It's sort of like there's an inner witness that's always aware of what's going on. So if your pants are on fire, you will get up and run, get water or something like that. You won't be totally under control of something. Now, the scientists tell us that our brain goes through a 90-minute cycle, which is a trance, and they call it ultradian rhythm. Ultradian. I know there's another rhythm called circadian, but I think that's to do with a 24-hour body energy cycle, which means that there are certain times of the day when you should be eating, and at certain hours your body will say, I'm eating, but you're giving me a hard task here. Even in Chinese medicine, with the meridians have their strong points at certain times of the 24-hour cycle, and other times you're at the weakest point, which is the worst time to do exercise that involves the heart or to digest something really heavy. But anyway, there is a rhythm that's roughly every 90 minutes. So your brain goes into a trance state all of its own. So you don't even have to think, well, maybe I haven't been paying focused attention on something to bring it about, but this will happen for you at regular intervals. You might find there are times when your thinking becomes a bit foggy and you just can't focus. And it's not necessarily that 3:30 slump where your blood sugar has dropped, but at certain times where that's probably why they say, you know, if you're working in an office, do some stretches or go and do a bit of a goose step out in the corridor, do something to break out of that. Would you say sleeping is the same as hypnosis or being in trance?
I think so.
No, they're not the same thing. No, hypnosis is not the same as sleeping. In hypnosis, you're more consciously in control of feelings and your moral will or your conscience. You can purposefully link strong feelings with the things that you want to achieve in preference to the things that you don't want to do anymore that are not very helpful. Someone has said that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, and it's all to do with suggestion. A suggestion is made, so here's the suggestion, and then they sort of drop all these crumbs. They just lead you along a path. You know, listen to the voice, feel the weight of yourself on the chair, feel the light coming into your eyes, all these sorts of cues, and they're giving you things to focus on. And because you're sitting there with nothing better to do, you just go along for the, so you wonder, what's the next thing he's going to talk about? So it's like someone telling a story, where does this lead? And we just follow the lead, and we get taken on a journey. They can use words, body language, or things from the environment around them. They might have flashing lights or music, or they might even shake your chair or something to get some sort of response. But it's all to do with suggestion and imagination. Now, with the workings, there's no set idea that's been proven about how hypnosis works. There are different theories. Some people will say, oh, people are just play acting. You know, they go to a club where there's entertainment and there's the hypnotist on the stage, and people just play acting that they can quack like ducks and walk like chickens and things like that. Another idea might be something happens to your brain. So it involves brain waves or changes to the electrical patterns of the brain. Then there's always the old placebo effect. They say it's only a placebo effect. It's not. There's nothing actually doing the change. It's just because you want to believe it and somehow. But they never seem to explore the placebo effect itself. If it's so powerful, like under hypnosis, I believe some people have been told that they've had a searing iron placed against their skin, and I think they've shown on camera that their skin starts to redden in that area, and some people have had like physical changes like blistering and things like that. Also, I think with hypnosis, well, there are people that have what do they call it, like a multiple personality. When a different personality comes out, the one personality might have diabetes. When the other personality clicks in, maybe that's through hypnotic triggering, the other character will not be diabetic. They can consume sugar and their physiology's changed and all this. Someone might have trouble hearing, but there are certain physical or medical issues that they have that seem to just vanish when the other personality comes out. And this is like a medical fact. They'll probably make a TV show about stuff like this one day. But these things are quite amazing, and this is to do with the power of the mind. So the mind has, in some sense, the mind and body are one, but the mind which is not physical seems to have a lot of control over affecting the physical world. So they're the three main theories. They're just pretending, or it's hypnotic trance is affecting the brain rhythms, so it's becoming a physical thing that makes them behave that way, or it's just their imagination. Now, we've all seen that iceberg drawing where that's the ocean and you've got an iceberg, and only a small amount, I think they say about 10%, is the conscious, and about 90% is the unconscious or subconscious. I know there are people that differentiate between unconscious and subconscious. I think if you're doing NLP, they'll probably prefer one particular term. So most of our awareness we're not aware of. And that's where the hypnosis is working. It's targeting this level, not the teeny weeny level that has all the ifs and buts and prove this and prove that and I want to do things my way. It's very ego-centered. It's more about that world beneath the surface where the big whales and the stingrays live, not where you're splashing on the beach. So the main difference, the conscious mind, they say it processes seven bits of information per second. The unconscious does about 2 million a second. So you can see that hidden part, it's receiving and processing a really big amount of information compared to what your conscious mind is aware of. Which is why when someone quotes a line, say, now repeat this verse, sorry, could you say that again? Yeah. And then you get people like, I remember people used to learn Bible verses, they'd have little cards, and they'd probably have to read that and say it out loud 20, 30 times before they could just rattle it off 6 months down the track. But that takes a lot of effort. So your conscious mind can only take in so much. Most of the activity and processing is in the unconscious. The conscious mind tends to be logical. This level here, logical, and it likes to analyse. It judges. It makes decisions. It says, sorry, you're crossing the line, that's it. It sort of has like a barrier. This is my foreign policy, you can't come in. The unconscious is, that tends to be literal. Sorry about my horrible writing. Literal, and things can get taken personally. I'm not sure why, but could be you say something that's logical, that's meant to help somebody, and there's a subconscious part of the person's mind think, oh, that's an attack on me. They don't like me, but they don't say that, you know. But then they just think, oh, I don't want to see that person anymore, and they don't know why. So that's the main difference: logical and analytical. And this one is more literal and takes things personally. So, as we said before, the hypnosis bypasses this one and works on that one. And when it gets to this level, it's putting in new ideas, new information that will help to set you free, as long as they're giving you good data. Now, I'll remove that. Sorry, if I sound a bit vague from your point of view, please interrupt, and I'm happy to repeat something. Or when we have the discussion time later, we can look at that. misconceptions or queries. All right. People might say, who can be hypnotised? Can everyone be hypnotised? There's some people that can't. Well, in my reading, I found 3 types of people that cannot be hypnotised. Let's see. Low intelligence. People that have certain mental problems, like, say, psychosis, where you have a break from reality. And then there are people that just plain resist. They refuse. I will not be hypnotised. I don't want to be hypnotised. I refuse. And they've got that right. We're free will people. So they're the 3 main groups that will not, based on intelligence, mental instability, and just sheer willpower. All right, then people say, oh, I think hypnosis is dangerous. So, all right, is it dangerous? I'd say danger with a question mark. I think these days we've got so much on the internet about mobile phones, drilling for oil in your backyard, things in our suntan lotion that they think might promote cancer or who knows what, but there's all sorts of scaremongering, and it's really hard to find out what's true, what's just a marketing ploy. Do they want people to feel insecure just so they can sit in their ivory towers and laugh at us? Apparently back in the 1950s, late 1950s, the American Medical Association came up with the idea that hypnosis, or medical hypnosis at least, by qualified people, should be safe. So they did approve it. So we're talking about before 1960. So the other factor is it should be safe because we have a very strong survival instinct. The will to protect ourselves is very strong. So as I said before, there is that part of us that's always aware. It's all, I guess you could call it your higher self or your cosmic self, whatever you want to call it, or maybe it's just a higher representative in your everyday living on Earth. But it's to do with survival and protection. So, in theory, it shouldn't be dangerous. Of course, you'll always find people, they'll find situations where they think, oh, but this and this happened. Well, I'm just presenting some of the things that I came across, and if there are contrary things that can be proven, that's great. I'm always willing to learn. This is not the be-all and end-all. Overriding the will. You can't be made to do anything against your will or your values. Now, this is just based on the stuff that I read. Now, maybe if I read even more things, I'll find something that contradicts that. But it's something that we can all explore, like, go and do some more research if there's evidence for that or against it. Hypnosis acts like a truth serum. In other words, you will reveal that affair with the boss, or how you stole 20 cents from the McDonald's charity box or something like that. You'll confess to the crime or anything like that. Apparently people, even when they're hypnotised, they are still able to lie. So there are certain places in the world where legally the testimony that's taken from hypnosis is not admissible as evidence. because they know it is possible. I mean, people can also get around the truth detectors. If you watch some of those movies, they come across these agents that have been trained, and they say, now make sure you're not doing such and such to get around this truth thing. I won't tell you what the detail is because it's a bit, it's maybe not something to mention in public, but yeah, they can get around it. So the truth detector doesn't necessarily detect the truth, so you can get around it. According to the people I read, yeah, you can tell lies. You have the ability to lie if you want to. Yeah, so you can still lie. You have the freedom to lie, so you can hide what you want. Then there's that nasty thing they talk about, false memory syndrome. Have you heard of false memory syndrome, where you get hypnotized and then you come out with more problems than what you had before because now you suddenly think someone did something horrible to me when I was a child, you know. The ice cream man attacked me or knocked me over or who knows what. So we'll call that false memory. Just call it false mem. Now, if someone is a clinical hypnotherapist and they have got really poor training or they're not very ethical, and the client is also someone that's emotionally disturbed, there is a good chance that you can create or induce so-called repressed things in these people because the therapist has already assumed something's gone wrong in that person's life, and so they use leading questions, and so the client starts to think, they sort of follow the breadcrumbs that lead you into the dark forest, and they come out saying, that's why I can't achieve this or that, that's why there's this dark spot in my soul that I can't get past, you know, like they've watched some Alfred Hitchcock thing that's affected them. But that's only if the therapist is unethical, poorly trained, and if the client has got really big problems. Now we'll get the last section is the medical, or I guess we could use the word, often the word medical seems to be with physical stuff. But taking it overall, the uses of hypnosis. We've all seen those stage hypnotists and probably had a good laugh when they make people supposedly do all these silly things. But the experts tell us that a stage hypnotist is not someone that's trained normally to the same level as a hypnotherapist. The hypnotherapist will have done, I'm not sure of all their qualifications, but they've probably done something to do with counselling, psychology, as well as learning how to induce a trance. So a hypnotist, anyone could call themselves a hypnotist if they know how to induce a trance. But a hypnotherapist would know how to do that, but they'd have other skills that relate to dealing with emotional issues and helping the person to become healed and empowered, whereas the hypnotist's there basically to put on a good show and give you an opportunity to make a goose of yourself, so you can say, oh well, you're probably having a really good time on the stage, and you say, oh, it was just he made me do it. You don't want to say, I really wanted to do that myself, and be silly. A lot of stage hypnotists, I think their normal practice is to ask for volunteers, so you have to be willing. If you're resistant, you probably won't get up on the stage. And once they start to induce people into the trance, they'll probably ask the people that are not truly willing to commit to the process to, just kindly leave leave the auditorium, not the whole auditorium, but go and take a seat in the audience. So really the will has to be there. And really they're just giving people permission to act out the things that they wouldn't normally do, but it's sort of like your child comes out to play, and it's probably quite therapeutic. But the medical or clinical hypnotherapist is not there for, I'll just put H therapist. They're not there for entertainment, they're there for empowerment of the individual. This is more like for fun, and fun's fine. We all know. I think the world doesn't laugh enough. You watch the news and see how depressed and pessimistic you can become if you took that news to be all that's really happening in the world. So the hypnotist is there for fun. The hypnotherapist is there to empower you, to help you get to your goals more easily. Now, there are certain things that you need to find in a hypnotherapist if you want to use their services, and it is suggested that you find one that listens. You know, when you go to your GP and you tell them all your own intuitive things about an ailment, you know that when you think or feel certain thoughts, emotions, that you get certain bodily reactions, and you know yourself quite well, and you have your own theories about, well, I've been worrying about my granddaughter, and every time I do, I start to get this burning in the stomach, and they say, oh, come on, next you'll be writing your own death certificate. And they don't want you to link your own thoughts and emotions to what's happening with the body. They want you to just listen to their medical model, which tends to disempower the patient or the client. But you really need a hypnotherapist that you feel listens to you and where you're coming from. So are they listening? Do they understand as well? Some can listen, but then they rush to interpret your life for you, and they're saying, well, this is what I think is your problem. You say, no, that's not it. No, it's not that. You've got it wrong. You're listening, but you're not understanding. So people, in any counselling, even if you go to a tarot card reader and you share your concerns and you want them to do a reading with cards, numerology, stars, you want to feel that they've listened to you and that they understand you. Another factor, what about the methods that they use? If they come at you with a chainsaw, I don't think you'll really approve of that sort of technique. So, no, I'm not going to be relaxed if you come at me with a chainsaw. Maybe a pendulum, that's fine, or some of Beethoven or Mozart's music. But the method, you have to be happy with the method.